Well, as we've stated for the 50 billionth time, impeachment seems to have been a massive waste of time for Democrats. I don't know what their plan is, and the only thing I see them gaining out of impeachment is that they jammed up Bernie Sanders, I guess. Maybe paved the way for Joe Biden, who's not doing well anyway. I have no idea what they're doing, man. Donald Trump's approval rating is at an all-time high. Now, let me clarify that. The Washington Examiner says the best rating in 3 years. Right after Trump got elected, that's when his approval rating peaked. I don't think it's fair to count that because the dude literally didn't do anything. We've now had 3 years of a Trump presidency, and it is its highest point since just after election. As far as I'm concerned, within the time span of Trump actually being president and doing work, this is the highest it has ever been. So what's going on? We have an impeachment trial happening. Nobody seems to care. The left is trapped in their weird bubble world. Yet the economy is doing really well. Trump's approval rating is going up and up and up, and it's an election year. Trump facing re-election with the highest approval rating of his presidency. Look, I think it's fair to say Trump's going to win re-election, as I've stated time and time again. But let's read the story, and I've got some other data on the impeachment as well. They say, boom, Trump approval rating best in 3 years. President Trump's approval ratings have hit the highest average level. And this is the average, mind you. I got to clarify that. This is the real Clear Politics average. I'm not talking about some poll from like Rasmussen that pops up and says, oh, look, we got Trump above 50%. No, this is all of them. Highest it's ever been. The highest average level since his first month in office. A post-impeachment message sure to depress his Democratic detractors and thrill his supporters. The highly watched RCP job approval is at 45.6, just zero point 0.4 off the high posted shortly after his inauguration. His disapproval number is 51.7, lower than recent averages. The average is a running collection of dozens of polls, including Fox, Rasmussen, Washington Post, Political, CNN. The latest list shows Trump's approvals in the individual polls increasing despite the cloud of impeachment hanging over him and his 2020 re-election bid. He was impeached. It happened. Will he be removed? I really doubt it. Support for removal is in the minority. Campaign Communications Director Tim Murtaugh said that voters surveyed in the polls are paying more attention to the economy and improvements brought under Trump than impeachment. President Trump gets up every day with the mission of putting America first in all of his decisions. The Democrats begin every day brainstorming about how to bring him down. Americans can see what's going on and they're siding with the president. I imagine it like this. You may not like Trump, but he's the pilot. Okay, the people on the plane said, we want that guy flying the plane. Well, the people who didn't like him are shaking the controls and making the flame flip around, and everyone's watching them do it. So I imagine it like you see Trump in the pilot seat flying the plane like normal. He's kind of a dick about it. And then in the other co-pilot seat, it's the Democrats just shaking the controller as hard as they can, or the steering wheel. I don't know, whatever you call it in a plane. And we all know they're doing it. So it's really frustrating for me because I'm like, this country needs a healthy alternative. You can't just have a single party dominating the conversation. Look at what happens in California. We need some real, legitimate pushback and proposals. It's one of the reasons why I like Andrew Yang. But instead, what do we get? As they put it, Democrats wake up every day thinking, how can we make everything really uncomfortable for everyone? And that's what they're doing. Their primary focus has been impeachment and scandals and Ukraine and Russia. Are you kidding me? This is so nuts, man. When people tweet at me to try and argue about whether Trump is guilty or not, I don't care. I want to know what's going to happen after the election with trade deals. What's going on with Iraq and Iran? I do not care about whether or not the orange man is as bad as you claim he is. If you don't like it, you can vote in November. But instead, all they do is wake up every day screeching about things I don't care about. Impeachment has no bearing on my life. Okay, I should say Ukraine gate. If they remove Donald Trump, it's going to cause the markets to go nuts and people are going to feel that. But in the end, everything they talk about, Trump has violated his oath of office and abused his power, has no bearing on what I do when I wake up and the work I have to do. I mean, technically it does because I talk about the news. But what I mean is, for the average American, when you wake up and your concern is, today I'm going to pour concrete, hammer some nails, is the first thing you think about, I wonder if President Trump called Ukraine and tried to pressure them on Joe Biden? No. What about healthcare? Oh, yeah, that makes sense. When you wake up, you think, oh, man, that healthcare bill, I got to pay that by tomorrow. I hope this check clears today. Are the Democrats talking about what you care about? Nah. But Donald Trump is traveling overseas and he's working because he knows the game that's being played. And the Democrats, I guess, just want to lose. They say other polls agree. Several have shown that voters approve of the economy, and he is beating all but former Vice President Joe Biden in the latest 2020 head-to-head matchups. Not according to the New York Times. Okay, well, no, maybe nationwide. But in key states, Trump's really winning. They say, according to the Washington Post today, with just over 9 months until Election Day, Americans see Trump as a slight favorite for re-election, with 49% expecting him to win and 43% predicting that his Democratic challenger will prevail. Let me tell you something. Don't take the polls' word for it. Newspaper polls are trying to convince you to, click links so they can make money. Let me make it really simple. The poll's goal is to get you to do something that makes money for the news organization. Now, who should you trust? I'd be more inclined to trust Vegas odds, betting websites, because the odds are designed to make them money. Okay? They want to stop you from placing a bet that's unfavorable to them. They want to make money. So they're saying when it comes to a bet, these are the odds. Because if they did the odds wrong and they said Trump was the favorite and he wasn't, well, anyway, you get the point. Vegas odds are about the casinos making money. Washington Post and these other outlets are about convincing you to click for a reason. So what ends up happening is, first of all, trust. I think the aggregate is fair to trust, but most of these outlets are chasing after a core audience, trying to convince you, if you're anti-Trump, that Trump's going to lose. If you're pro-Trump, Trump's going to win. So moving on from Trump's general approval, I think there's two things that are really important. First of all, this I believe is from today. A slim majority of Americans approve of Trump's Soleimani strike. They say 3 weeks after President Trump ordered the drone strike on Soleimani, the Washington Post ABC News poll finds a slight majority of Americans approve of the decision, even as many express concerns that it may increase the chance of war breaking out with Iran. The Post ABC poll finds 53% approve of Trump's ordering the strike that killed Major General Qasem Soleimani, while 41% disagree. That means you got a decent amount who just don't know. We can see here, Republicans overwhelmingly approve, Democrats overwhelmingly disapprove, independents approve. That's the big question. How will the independents swing? And we have seen poll after poll showing that independents are in more alignment with Republicans. You know why? Because the Democrats are playing the game of everything Trump does is wrong. Independent voters are kind of like, whatever. So I'll tell you what. You look at how the independents are swinging towards Republicans, I think it's fair to say that Trump's got the advantage. The Democrats have gone so far left, they're just spiraling out of control. But here's another great poll. Donald Trump's approval rating is up. Most people in this country believe, by a slim majority, that he was right to do what he did in in Iraq with the Iranian. And now we see this. Impeachment by numbers. They say, take a step back, and little has changed in the political landscape 4 months after House Speaker Nancy Pelosi launched the inquiry against President Trump. Trump's national approval numbers, public support for his removal, and Joe Biden's place as the Democratic primary frontrunner have held steady. Meanwhile, the GOP and Trump campaign are raising money off of impeachment. And there we go. What have you wrought, Democrats, with your impeachment? Nothing. You've helped Trump. That's why I can't understand what the point was. And I've been saying this since they started it. Most of you have been agreeing with me. We knew impeachment from the get-go was going to help Trump. In fact, before he was even impeached, news outlets were saying, does Trump want to be impeached? Because he was going to use it to say, they're after me. He has. He's raised money. He's got his approval rating is higher than it's ever been. I get it, except for that, right after inauguration. But in terms of the work he's done, he's seen a massive increase in his average approval rating, higher than it's been since inauguration. The Democrats have stayed mostly where they are, I guess. But maybe that was it. Maybe that was the plan. The only thing I can really see that Democrats gain from this is hurting Bernie Sanders. But did they really hurt him that much? I got to say, I think the real answer is the Democrats are completely incompetent. They could not focus on health care for the sake of their own party. They could not focus on immigration for the sake of their own party. No, they could only talk about Ukraine and Russia over and over again. And I think it's because they're trapped in a conspiracy bubble. You look at some of these things that come out, the sheer insane conspiracy nonsense. Here's what I want to do. Let me actually break this down in a better way. The next segment I'm going to do is about that whole Rick Wilson and Don Lemon mocking Americans. But here's the best part. It turns out it's actually the Democrats who can't pinpoint countries on a map. So while the Democrats sit there laughing and chortling about how smart they are, we're all looking at them like, you guys realize you're actually the dumb ones, right? So stick around. That segment's coming up in a few minutes, and I'll break that one down. I'll see you then.